Middlekauff! Heavy Hames!
I was going to use it for the podcast. This is YouTube stream only, but what the hell? People got a kick out of it, so let's keep it going.
Why not?
We can do maybe versions of every musical genre.
Dolly Parton's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Dolly. Younger than you think?
I was going to guess 88. She's 76.
That was my reaction too. Was wow, good. We got 30 more years hopefully with Dolly.
She was really. She still. For her age, looks fantastic. But in her peak, 20s, 30s, even 40s, she was a babe.
Yeah,
a babe. And wrote, I don't know, the greatest love song of all time, "I Will Always Love You," that Whitney Houston. I would say would go down as one of the great performances of just any human ever singing a song.
Yeah. Well, was there a particularly famous performance of it at an award show or something?
No, I'm just saying Whitney Houston singing "I Will Always Love You."
Well, I know, but
The Bodyguard. I'm just saying the song.
Yeah, no, I get it. I was just asking if there was a famous her anthem.
I think she sang it at a bunch of different places, but she it's Dolly's song.
Well, I don't know why she gave it to her, just because she knew it'd be bigger that way?
I think I actually watched a YouTube today. Costner's assistant reached out and asked if they could have it, and she was like, "Yeah." Maybe I probably.
So she recorded it already once?
She sang it in the 70s.
Gotcha.
It was her. It was her song. Then she gave it to them, and I remember watching something on it. They kind of changed it, because it comes up when the song starts. The way they recorded it, there's no. It's just her singing. It starts. And yeah, they shot the movie at Fallen Leaf Lake when the thing blows up and Costner dives in the winter.
Where's Fallen Leaf Lake?
Right by Lake Tahoe. But you remember the boat, the scene where the boat blows up.
I don't really.
Yeah, he swims to go save her kid because the guy's the bodyguard. He's protecting Whitney Houston. Well, it's in the winter, so the lake's freezing cold. What they did is they put this thing in there and they warmed it up, so it was not
they heated the water, or they put a pool within the lake.
Yeah, they did the pool thing within the lake. Well, I think the way they did it is they had this foam thing around so they could control the environment, and then they heated it.
Gotcha.
They fooled everybody.
That's different than the way DiCaprio played in that one. What was the movie where he crawls inside the horse?
Oh, the Revenant.
Revenant. Oh, that was real stuff, right?
Where he jump, him and the horse go over the cliff, and then he climbs in it.
When he climbs inside a dead horse, I think that was real.
Did he actually fight the bear?
That part probably not real.
Remember the bear almost kills him, and the guy thinks he's dead and walks away, and then he hunts him down. I don't know if that's realistic.
What a great plot. How dare you leave me behind? Speaking of cold, John, checking up on Green Bay's weather. Looking at a high of 23 and a low of 2 degrees on Saturday with snow showers in the forecast. Wind at 14 miles per hour out of the west southwest. Which way is that field situated?
That's a hell of a question. Only people over 50 talk northwest, south, and east. Now we just which way? What's the street?
I would be the worst police officer. He's heading west on 18th. Shit. Yeah. Or the worst direction is when somebody says to you, which one is it? And they give you the corner that it's on, the directional corner. It's it's the northwest corner of 87.
Who talks like that?
Is that near the one near the bank or near the gas station?
I wonder if you have to learn that in police school, and they're like, "He's headed east down Lagoon Boulevard.
Totally.
Cut him off at the pass." East.
I'm always
I'd be on my phone and be like, "East, west, Lagoon, what?"
That way? He's headed that way? Yeah. Yeah, it looks
you
cold.
Did. I don't think you sold it enough. Mentioned on the podcast yesterday, the 13 game. I guess it might have been January of 2014, but that playoff game that the 49ers beat them in the first round, how shitty the field was. is the field going to look that bad?
It can't, right?
Have we changed the ability to cover fields and heat fields?
Well, field
it was muck.
That field, the Packers were not the 1 seed that year, right?
No, I think Seattle might have been.
So
No, the Panthers might have been.
So did the Packers play at home the week before?
No, that was the wild card weekend. So it was like the 3-6.
Oh, so they had just played. They just played a full season of football on it, and the field hadn't rested. That's what
they had played. So the Niners basically, I think, won the 3-6. Then I think they played the Panthers, who were the 1 seed, who were like 14-2, and then they went to Seattle, who was probably the 2 seed. Fucking gauntlet right there.
Yeah, I mean, 2014 Packers, 49.
It would have been the 2013 Packers.
2014 playoffs, though, right?
2014 playoffs, yeah. But it was definitely round like the wild card weekend.
Let's see if we can get a picture. No, the whole everything between the hashes was basically dirt or mud, right? Was dark, was just dark brown.
Crabtree looked pretty good in that game. I was like, God, Michael Crabtree.
Juwan Jennings. This is not totally accurate. I'd say it looks but that gives you an idea of what it kind of looked like on the right there.
Yeah. Some of those fields in the Northeast that aren't turf, I mean, they just I do think it's hard to protect it against the elements.
Yeah.
There's a reason people fucking play golf in San Diego, Scottsdale, and Florida year round and not Wisconsin, right? Like you're not hosting the PGA Tour swing in January in Chicago. Like it's just you can't protect the grass. That's what was so wild about Jed's guy. It's like, aren't we in California? Why can't we figure out this grass thing? And it was tough.
Yeah, it was tough. Never looked like that. At least it was usually green, but
it was just a lot of holes in the, wasn't it?
Well, people were slipping all over the place. But hey, everyone, hello. This is YouTube only, as I said. This is not a podcast, so we're just hanging here. And if you're here, hit that like button. I mean, obviously you're here, so hit that like button. I thought about sending this stream to Twitter as well, but we're contained on YouTube today. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends about it. There's a lot of people out there consuming all kinds of content. We try to create as much as we can. Good stuff here. We're glad you support it. We appreciate it very much. Yes, I do have somebody just commented that I have a wolf. So you can see the tabs that I have a Wolf of Wall Street gif on deck here. That's right, I do.
Staley, no sleeves either.
Staley, no sleeves?
I would say everyone on the offensive line was wearing sleeves. Kaepernick, Staley, and Gore were the 3 that stand out to me on offense. There was a hit in that game. He didn't wrap up, but Eddie Lacy kind of busts a run, and 31, our guy Dante Whitner, comes through and fucking flies. He goes torpedo. Now, Eddie was big, didn't knock him to the ground, but knocked him back 4 or 5 feet. And then I think Willis and some other guy gang tackles, and Harbaugh just does the anti-Bruce Arians. It's a good hit.
Didn't get fined $50K?
Hell yeah! It was Jesus, this thing's a war zone. It was, I thought the Packers were, that was a heavyweight fight, was my takeaway from that game. It was just Jesus. It was the 4-5, and then they played the Panthers, who were the 2. I don't remember this game at all. The other wild card weekend game was the Saints against the Eagles. Pretty sure that was Chip Kelly.
Oh, Saints won. Obviously,
Saints
Niners played them.
Then the Saints, don't remember this game at all either. The second round, the Seattle beat Drew Brees, Sean Payton, and the New Orleans Saints.
Wait a second.
So the second round was Seattle Saints, Niners, Panthers.
And
then Niners, Seattle for that
gotcha.
NFC champ.
Which that video was all over the place today.
Which one? Of Crabtree's?
Crabtree, yeah. By the way, just since to finish this, I can move on after it. The reason I had this here is because Stetson Bennett's coming back to school, John. Anyway.
JT Daniels in the transfer portal.
Caleb Williams still hasn't picked USC.
A lot of guys. The transfer portal to me is can you just trade? Can you hop in the portal whenever? There's not a date, right? March, I can just be I'm out.
The best thing I've seen in the entire era of college football portal. I can't believe I didn't mention this to you yesterday. So there's 2 guys from SC are in the portal. Jackson Dart, the young quarterback, and a receiver named Michael Trigg. The two of them went to Oklahoma together, put on the uniforms. The two of them just went to Ole Miss like Monday or Tuesday.
Wait, they went to Oklahoma while they've been in the transfer portal on a recruiting visit?
Oh, yeah. And then they just went to Ole Miss in the portal on a visit.
These guys are posting pictures in the portal of other teams?
I'll do you one better. You know what? I won't even tell you the story until I find the picture here. Basically, I will tell you the story. They did a video at Oklahoma in the uniform. At Ole Miss, they put on the Ole Miss uniform, do a photo shoot, and so good. And then they tweet it out, or Michael Trigg tweets it out. Let me put it up here.
Did Trigg get Wally pipped by Jerry Rice's kid?
Maybe he was in the portal before Brendan Rice committed. Brendan Rice is actually a good player. So they tweet this, like, look at these photos. Yeah, he's good. So look at the photos they tweet out, right, with them in them. But look at the hashtag. This is my point here. The hashtag.
Not committed.
Not committed. We're going to do a photo shoot. We're going to post it. Don't mistake this as thinking we've picked Ole Miss. Here's them in a basketball uniform.
Are they a package deal?
It kind of feels like it, doesn't it? I don't know. Maybe they're just buddies and they're hanging out.
I didn't realize Jackson Dart had that great of hair.
Incredible hair, but not committed. Just having a good time. You know what? That one.
If I don't have a scholarship, though, what if I don't have two scholarships and they both want to commit? What can I do? I can't sign both.
Have a scholarship.
I know. So they're going to be schools.
But you might have guys in the portal too.
So the moment a guy goes in the portal and he goes, "Coach, I'm going to go in the portal, but I might come back." If I use that scholarship, it's like, "Oh, you're shit out of luck. See ya." That's going to happen to some guys.
I could say, "John, you're a great player. Oklahoma's probably said this to Caleb Williams. Your scholarship will be here waiting for you." Or I could say, "Okay, your scholarship will not be here waiting for you."
But you also get to the point with Jackson Dart goes, "Hey, listen, I have to commit now to Oklahoma or Ole Miss." Let's just say those are down to two. And Oklahoma's like, "Well, you got to commit now." And that might be Caleb Williams' spot, right? And he's like, "Well, we just got to take this guy who knows what's going to happen with Caleb." I'm sure that happens sometimes too. Like, how do you make these decisions?
Yeah.
These kids, didn't Jackson Dart just go on recruiting visit last year, all these places? He just gets a double dip?
Yeah, although I don't know that he did much of it because he was kind of a senior sensation. He burst out his senior year. He had like 67 touchdowns. Was the Utah State Player of the Year, Gatorade
Salt Lake City kid or something, right?
And then went to SC, but he did not have a bunch of big offers before he committed to SC. Anyway,
little shocking to me that Lincoln wouldn't want to fuck with him. Like, I think he's pretty good.
I agree, but maybe he must know Caleb Williams is coming.
Yeah,
right.
It's hard to blame him. Yeah.
So, anyway. Mike McCarthy said the threshold to run either a draw or quick throw was 13 seconds. Dak checked out of the throw to a draw. McCarthy said it was the right call. McCarthy said Prescott did the right thing, handing the ball to his center. So, in other words, we reviewed all our protocols. We know we crashed the plane, but we're not going to change anything. All aboard! Everybody just get on the plane? Did you guys change anything after you crashed the plane the last time? Nope. Same protocol as last time. All aboard! How does Jerry Jones? What is this?
Well, to me, one thing that you could easily say is like, we don't regret doing the play. We live and die with Dak Prescott. He's our star quarterback. If we could do it over again and Dak would agree with this, we hand the ball to the referee. Like, you don't hand the ball to the center, because then the center would have to hand the ball to you. Whoever grabs the ball. Remember, was it Monday Night Football where Claypool did something stupid and the dude fucking hits him and grabs the ball? What was the guy grabbing the ball for? To hand it to the referee because he was like dancing with the ball. You hand it to the referee. To me, we can argue the timing, and I think it's pretty universally above 13 or 14 seconds, but you cannot argue that you got to hand the ball to the referee. So it's like, we got to do a better job of isolating the referee. That's just the rule.
Yeah, yes, somebody has to, right? Dak doesn't necessarily have to be the one. Dak can go behind, give it to the center, get behind the center gives it to him. But
doesn't that take a lot of time?
Well, I saw a video. That's what Larry Fitz did. But the center was right there. The center immediately hands it to the ump who puts it down. You hand it to the center who then puts it down, and everyone lines up, establishes a line of scrimmage. And then the referee's like, no, you guys. You have to move back, and then the whole line has to shift back. They cost themselves. They cost themselves by how far he ran. That cost them. They cost themselves by not handing it to the official. That cost them. The center cost them by putting the ball down instead of giving it to the official. Think about this. Here's the other thing. They didn't make way for the official. They made the official slide through them like they were hanging out in the aisle while I'm trying to get to the bathroom. Like, all they needed was one more second. And they did like 5 things wrong. And he's acting like they did no things wrong. It's an incredible display of Joe Judgian defiance. I mean, it's amazing. If McCarthy said, I got coaches all over the place texting me, asking me how to break down end-of-game management, you guys, you should see my phone. That's the only last step for McCarthy to go full Joe Judge. But this is, you see what else he just said? Or not just said. This other thing, Ed Werder, I just saw the Ed Werder tweet. Mike McCarthy described his Cowboys as being nervous entering the game. He said he sensed it during the pregame prayer and felt it inhibited them early in the loss to the Niners. Huh? Again, reflection of you. Reflection of you.
Yeah, it's just I do get. I have come around. Because I don't think about the Cowboys that often, and I know a lot of people hate the Cowboys because they feel a little Duke basketball-ish. Like, we always have to talk about them. They're not the best team every fucking year. I get it this time. Like, but then you see the numbers. Like, for as much as we want to pound the table,
you get it.
The Niners play a role. I get the hatred toward them because they get talked about and they don't produce.
But what I would say is this time it's like we're just reacting to a game they just played, right?
I know, but I think here's where I think the casual guy that says fuck the Cowboys and has been, you overhyped them all season long. Look at who they beat all season. They got their ass kicked when it mattered. They beat up on the NFC East, and everyone overhyped them. Everyone acted like they were going to be some powerhouse, and then we see them in the big game. They had more penalty yards than rushing yards. They were kind of an embarrassment for the majority of the game at home. Like, can we just, like, can they win some big games? And then but the counter always is like, yeah, it was the highest rated wild card game in 7 years, and the Niners played a role in that, but the Cowboys were the team in the driver's seat. Like, they really are. What the craziest part about him is, like, what's this thing with Tiger Woods doesn't move the needle, he is the needle. Obviously, football is a little different because a lot of teams can move the needle, but nobody does like the Cowboys. It's just a fact, right? If it was Niners, Rams, it's not a lock that they're the first pick from CBS. It was the Cowboys versus the Niners. Like, and we'll be the first to admit that, right?
And yes, and here's the other thing. It's like, I mean, they outrated all the other games by 10 million people on average. On average, they outrated the rest of the game.
There were some. I mean, the morning game was awful.
Totally.
Some bad games.
But part of it was it ended up like, are Niners Packers going to outrate the weekend on Saturday night? I think they will. I bet Packers Niners has the highest rating. Now, all bets, every game bets their game is bad, another game is good.
I think Chiefs Bills has a chance if it's really good.
Well, that's the other thing. You're right. Is it's like it's hard to really stay. But the quality of the game matters a lot, right? A ton. To your point,
Niners were up multiple scores though most of the game.
It's true. But I think to everybody who says like, oh, I'm so sick of the Cowboys, is like, okay, if we talked about only the best teams and it happened in one particular year that the best team was the Panthers, you yourself would be less interested in that conversation, right? So I get why networks play the hits in that way. I do get it, and I think ultimately, even if you hate it, I think it's good. It's good to have teams you hate. It's good to have teams you love. Like, the whole mix is great for the sport. People are so passionate. So I think it's good. I think being sick of the Cowboys is kind of fun because they give you this, It's another thing. I saw a clip. Did you see the clip? It was going around today of Marcus Spears in a car with Nick Saban. I guess it's like 3 years old. And
I've seen the segment before.
But Marcus is like, you ever get tired of it? And Nick's like, tired of what? Winning? You ever get tired of crapping on the Cowboys? Why would anybody get tired of that? Sorry, what were you going to say? You were in the car? What happened?
Can I not turn this down?
Too loud?
Yeah, I just want to. I was in the car, and Ira Kaufman, who has a Hall of Fame vote. He's like a buddy of Chris Russo. He comes on every week. He covers Tampa Bay. He's based in Tampa Bay. He's like an NFL writer, a famous NFL writer, I think. Yeah. He's older. And they were talking shit about the Cowboys, and he's like, if I could have a do-over, because I think Jerry Jones got in the Hall of Fame, right, last year. He's like, I regret my vote. I regret my vote.
Did he mean it?
He was dead serious. He's like, I regret my vote. He's like, looking back, if there's a Hall of Fame for businessmen and everything, but we voted him on. Like, he got in the Hall of Fame for football. And it's just like, I don't know. I mean, the best thing that ever happened to him, he fired the guy immediately. Like, you're allowed to ultimately fire your coach, but Jerry fired the guy immediately, right? I mean, like, after the second Super Bowl, like, it was just over. Which is probably the best thing that happened to the Niners. Who knows? I mean, they might have rattled off like 4 straight. Do you know that I heard either Brent Jones or Randy Cross driving around picking up dinner talking to Tolbert at the time when they fired Jerry Jones, or when Jerry fired Jimmy Johnson? The Cowboys were like one of the youngest, like top 2 or 3 youngest teams in the league.
So it was a bad time to fire him.
I mean, it was like they were locked and loaded for the next. And clearly, I mean, all those guys on the team, and Kyle mentioned it last week, when you watch that game, Deion Sanders versus Michael Irvin, you got to – he's like, one thing I try to tell the guys, like, you understand Deion Sanders and Michael Irvin at the time were like your age. They're 25, 26. Like, they were young here. Even Steve Young was like 31, Like, Alex Mack, you're 6 years older than him. Like, these guys were young at the time of these games. Emmitt Smith, in 1992, he got drafted in 88. It's not like he's 30.
Yeah.
Like you're looking at we're talking about the age of the linebackers. Like, it's the age of these guys when you play these playoff games, 24, 25, 26. Now, every once in a while,
Azeez Al-Shire.
Rodgers 37 or Brady's 44, but I'd say if you kind of look around, like, most of the star players are going to be in their 20s.
It's funny because I never think of Deion as 24 years old. Am I too loud for you right now? Is that what's going on?
No, I just don't understand why I can't. Oh, it's this. Got it.
Good. It's fun. It's funny you say that. I never think of Michael Irvin as 25 years old or Deion Sanders as 25 years old, right? I think of him as like 32, probably. But what a time to blow it up.
Think how old they were to all of us when we were, 10 years old.
Yeah.
It felt like Brett Favre was 50.
At least Harbaugh thing kind of blew up after it was a little bit, the arrow was pointing down.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you got the time. Like, he had his shot to win Super Bowl, right? He had 3 huge swings at the ball, and he got close in the one because he made the Super Bowl, but I mean, they were getting their ass kicked until the lights went out.
They were.
And the other 2 times, like, Seattle did win the Super Bowl, right? That we were just talking about the Green Bay game, the Carolina game, and they lose that NFC Championship game. Seattle won that Super Bowl 43-8. Now, the Niners in that game had 2 devastating injuries. Arguably one of Bowman that year was equally as good as any human on that team. His knee snapped, so he would have been out for the Super Bowl. And Upati, remember, got his ankle shattered in that thing.
Yeah.
Do you think
could they run it back?
No, I'm just saying, like, are they a lock to beat that Peyton Manning team? Seattle was healthy going into that game and beat them 43-8.
I don't think they're. I don't think I could never say you're a lock to win a Super Bowl if you're playing Peyton Manning, but I do think the Niners win that game. I mean, that felt like the old Niners Cowboys, or some of those Western Conference Lakers Kings. The winner of this conference is going to be the champion, because they were it felt like playing a heavyweight sport, and that they would have been able to physically impose their will on those Colts.
I'm pretty sure that Super Bowl started with a Manning
or on those
snap
Broncos
over his head.
Yeah.
That was a rough game.
They looked nervous because I think that was that Peyton's first. That was Peyton's second Super Bowl.
Third. He had won 1. He had lost to Drew Brees because he went to 4 total. He went to 2 in Denver.
I just remember thinking they looked nervous, but I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering that.
They just look
the way you look when you get your ass kicked. That's the way you look. But I think partly that's just the way those teams play.
I just think sometimes Peyton's teams did look discombobulated in playoff games over the years.
Yeah, that's true.
If you got him on the wrong game. Like, Brady's lost some games, but you've never been like, Brady's teams looked a little off. No, it's like they just lost. Right? Mahomes, they've lost a game. You just get your ass kicked. Manning had some teams is like, I've watched you all season. You were like a fucking juggernaut. What's going on here? because his teams, their highs were so high.
Kinda
I was a huge Colts guy, like when we were in like late high school, early college. I love Peyton Manning because you just watch him all season long. They played in all these Monday night and Sunday night games. You're like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Peyton Manning's throwing all these touchdowns. And then you get to the playoffs and it'd be like 10-10 in the fourth quarter. You're like, what the fuck? Doesn't translate to outside.
No. I don't want to be disrespectful to those Colts by saying they're kind of Cowboys-ish because they were so much better than that. These Cowboys don't deserve that. Russell on the stream, Ambry's knee injury scares me. The idea of rolling back Josh Norman back out there is terrifying. Have you seen the all-22 of that crazy route Josh got beat on?
No, have you?
I have, and
what did he do? Take a step?
Norman just took off running for the middle of the field.
Josh Norman was not dictated by the guy. He took off.
Yeah, it just looked like he did not. It looked like he was not playing punt safe like everybody else was, is what it looked like.
So he didn't know the call.
I'm no special teams coach, John.
We sure Hightower is?
Positive, yes. Yes.
This is a game. I mean, if you're a football nerd, the Niners are not dead last in special teams. The Packers are. I'd have a hard pressed, and we'd need some, like, I haven't watched every snap of the Packers special teams, but if they're really worse than the Niners, I'll be shocked.
Well, what we need is like a side-by-side of all the transgressions. You know, like when they read out all the charges against you in a courtroom.
Well, here's my thing.
Count 15.
The Packers had a moment, the Bears game. I think it was Sunday night or Monday Night Football. I think it was Sunday Night Football. And they had a horrendous special teams night. I think they gave up a punt return. They had a punt blocked or something. But they won the game by 25 points. To me, the difference is their special team, they're still kicking everyone's ass, and part of it's their opponents in that division are awful. But the Niners special teams have cost them 3 games. Cost them 3 games. The Packers lost 4 total games. The Niners, I mean, their special teams is almost why this playoffs never even happened for them. The Packers, it was like an issue, as they were, I don't know, cruising to the 1 seed, To me, it's different. Now, it's not different if ultimately they lose this game 20-17 because the guy muffs a punt or something.
Yeah, or it's what keeps them from winning the Super Bowl, right? I mean, like it's all just your little thing and my little thing, whatever keeps you from achieving your full, reaching your full capacity. The question, and you said this the other day, I think was a good point. Like, if the Niners were to win this game, now you start thinking they can win any game. Because this is the game that would feel like a big hump, right? You get over this hump, it's like
this would be a moment,
and it's pretty doable. I mean, I think it's pretty doable. This will be a moment. What
you look back, you could convince me. Should we, sprinkle 500 on the Rams, 500 on the Niners? You just good money line value on both the teams, and it's one of those. Remember when no one this is just one of those transcendent moments in Kyle's career. Because let's face it, I mean, even me, it's hard for me to. But then I watched the game. I actually feel much better watching the Sunday night game. Like, what the fuck? Now, the injuries, we'll have to see with Bosa. But,
Bakhtiari didn't play in that game.
But I don't think Jair Alexander did. He had a sweet pick.
Jair did, but Zadarius, I don't think, did Zadarius play in that game? I
don't think Zadarius really played all season, did he?
Oh, is he back?
Well, I mean, fuck, who knows?
He's supposed to be.
I mean, to me, the more the field's shitty and the colder it is, actually neutralizes. Like, the best player in this game is Aaron Rodgers. But the shittier the field is, the cold and the wind and the wet and the snow, that just neutralizes their best asset.
So when you think about...
You want to put $5,000 on the 49ers?
I'm sorry? How much?
I know someone that... I was on a text thread with someone that's like, I might put $10,000 on the 49ers. He's waiting for the number to get to 6.5, so the money line's even bigger.
Well, I mean, I think you meant 500.
Well, I meant 500. Yeah, I mean, we got 1,900 to play with.
Yeah. What is it in your head when you have a hard time picturing the Niners winning the game? What's the number one thing that makes it hard to envision? Because I know what mine is.
It's just, Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers.
See, that's not mine. If you told me Jimmy Garoppolo plays a clean game, then it is not hard for me to envision it at all.
Money line is plus 210.
Nate says, didn't your boy win $17K this past weekend?
Yeah, he did.
Who's that?
Deep Seth, he put.
Oh, you're saying somebody on text thread.
He put $5,000. He parlayed the Bills -4, Niners money line. 5,000 paid $17,000. So he's going to put 10,000 of the 17 on the 49ers money line.
I mean, it's all found at that point. Once you hit one.
Yeah, I mean, $500 pays over $1,000. And I mean, if Kyle were to win in this game, nothing but respect for the guy for life. Because most people are not thinking the Niners are going to win this game. It's just
I know,
they're the
and
biggest underdog of the weekend, and this is how you become a legend. Like, you don't. Let's face it, he gets a lot of credit for last week. Cal, like, they should have beat the Cowboys. They're better than the Cowboys. Like, he beat Mike McCarthy. Kyle's better than Mike McCarthy. This is like on the road, short week, back-to-back MVP.
Yeah, you're playing the 1 seed.
For all the marbles.
You play the 1 seed. To me, it's as simple as Jimmy. Like, if you told me Jimmy plays a clean game, then it is not hard for me to see him winning it. At all. I think they're being undervalued. So, I mean,
he's got 7 injuries.
Every time he gets hurt, I mean, the first injury doesn't seem to bother him. Is the number still 6?
Number 6. The Bills game's actually down to 2.
From 2.5. Chiefs -2. Now,
what do you think about this? A money line parlay, actually a parlay of Niners money line, Rams money line, Chiefs -2. 100 pays 1,200.
Oh yeah, do that,
and maybe just do that, and then do like the 500 on the Rams.
Plus,
you
3
still like the bet of the week, the Rams?
I like the Rams. I feel like is that money line gone down a little bit?
I got the money line at plus 130.
Okay.
I think the money line's probably a better value than the plus 3. Like if we bet 5, it's -120. To me, if it's close, like I think the Rams are going to win. It's weird where we don't win. Like the Bucs win this game 28-17 because Stafford throws a couple picks.
Yeah. Are the Niners? What do you have the money line at? Is it plus 200?
Plus 210. You can convince me. I mean, it's the thing with the parlays is just you need a lot to go right. Like I like doing the individual bets. Just
I'd be $100 parlay on 3 things that don't seem that outrageous.
No, but I'm not opposed to just putting 500 on the Niners.
You said there's 19 in the pot.
We got 19. Yep.
We've been lower.
Well, the thing is, if the Rams were to win and let's say the Niners didn't, we would still be in pretty good shape.
Yeah. Okay. I'm good with that.
You want to go 500 on each?
Yeah. By the way, we have a DraftKings game that you can get in right now, since we're talking about this good time. How many spots we have available in DraftKings? It's in the Haberman Middlekauff DraftKings League. I think there should be a link down in the description below here on this YouTube stream. Looks like we got 27 spots left on a
I'm in
$10 buy in there. It's all 4 games. So jump in with us on that. Tar Take says 500 on Harbaugh to the Raiders 2-1. Lisa, I thought you guys had almost 4K. We did.
We did. And
we also were down to 18 or 7-18, and then almost down to 18 total.
Who fucked us overtime? Mac Jones. The Ravens get us once, I think. I'm pretty sure the Ravens did.
Was it the Rams? We took the Ravens. Was it the Ravens to cover at home against the Rams? Is that the game that we took?
Yeah, we had the Rams -3 on the road, and they only won by 1. I think.
Yeah. Yep. We had the Browns at home against the Raiders.
Yeah, that got us good.
I think we bet against the Raiders again somewhere else.
The Colts. Yep, that didn't go well. We got cold there for a split second.
Yeah,
we had a rough December.
We got red hot, right? Red hot. We won, I think, 12 in a row plus a 14 parlay. So we were in fuego. And then we've just kind of battled back. The fact that we're at 19 actually feels pretty good. So that's life. It's a long season, winning streaks and losing streaks. And
now we got 1,000. We got 900 right now, and we got 1,000 out. We just need McVay and Kyle to get the job done, become legends.
Russell says Juwan Jennings anytime a touchdown is a winner.
You know who was actually pretty good in the first game was Sanu. Made some plays.
Who else played a lot in that game that we don't see much of anymore? And I'm not talking about Trey Sermon. Somebody else. I mean, there was no Jennings in that game. Do you agree Ayuk was good in that game? Rewatching it? Ayuk made some big plays.
He was fantastic.
John says Vic Tafer seems to be shooting down Harbaugh to the Raiders. What do you guys think about that? Well, let's talk about it. Tafer wrote, the Raiders have to interview him first, and they'd have to show interest. As we said 2 weeks ago, the rumors have all come from outside of Vegas. One person close to the situation in Michigan Tuesday said that the rumors are all hypothetical leverage for Harbaugh's contract talks. One well-placed NFL source was stronger, calling Harbaugh-Raider connection total noise. Davis and his consigliere, former fullback and now senior advisor Marcel Reese, aren't returning calls. And why would they? As far as the noise, the Raiders love being in the news. Harbaugh also loves the sound of drums banging, although some believe he would take an NFL offer. Shouts out to Marcel Reese, by the way.
What's your take on the Raiders love being in the news line?
You know, it's interesting. I don't. They're often not in the news for good reason. So I wonder who does Mark enjoy this? I don't. That part was it. That part was, I would say, and Vic's pretty tapped in, obviously. That part surprised me a little bit. I mean, I guess I kind of get it, but they're not often in the news for great reasons. Like they don't
like. Would you think if I said if you and I were breaking bread with John Marr tonight and be like, you know what, John, you guys have had a lot of headlines the last 4 or 5 years. Do you think he'd be like, yeah, it's been awesome. People have been talking about us when we're not winning, or he'd be like, this fucking sucks.
No, it's embarrassing. Yeah.
Like, let's face it, guys. You guys were in the news. They were in the news a lot this year for things that no team would ever sign up for, right? I mean, the Ruggs thing is as bad as it gets, but I'd even say the Arnett thing with the guns, the Gruden that night, Monday Night Football. I'll never forget Monday Night Football, Colts, Ravens, the Gruden story comes out. And I got about 4 text messages from a dude associated with the NBA, just a random text thread of some buddies, every single one of them. And these guys lean like anti-PC culture or not like cancel culture people. Every fucking text I got was, he's done. He is done. And even I was started thinking like, this is kind of crazy. And he was done, guy, within 20 minutes. Done. It went from like Pelissaro tweeting, the Raiders are kind of shook right now, to John Gruden has resigned before halftime. That's one of the faster stories I've ever seen come to fruit. Like a story breaks, it happens, dude's out. For a team that clearly didn't want to make the dude out, Sometimes you're like, oh yes, we get to get rid of him.
Right.
That was not the case.
No. Florio, as he embarks on the search for a new coach, Mark Davis will utilize all of the skills he's amassed through checks notes, inheriting the team from his father to make the right decision for the future of the Raiders, which, I feel like we make the right amount of fun of the situation, but not too much, as if most owners hit 1,000. I don't know, the idea that other guys know what they're doing, self-made guys know what they're doing, inherited money but bought the team on their own guys know what they're doing. I don't know. At the end of the day, we'll see. Now, Mark's had some misses. We'll see really what his batting average is. But that said, we also don't know, it's him and Marcel Reese doing these interviews. Here's my thing, John. It's January 19th. The first Harbaugh to the Raiders report, and we were talking about it through the season. But the first, report was Bruce Feldman on January 5th. So it's been 2 weeks. So if he is using it as leverage for Michigan, because guess who holds a grudge? Jim Harbaugh. They cut his salary in half, as Vic wrote. He still hasn't signed a contract. So leverage is leverage. It's been 2 weeks since that first report, and if he's using it as leverage, he still hasn't signed the contract. Now, this is the time to be using it right now as leverage if that's what he's doing.
But one source, I think, in Tafer's article, if I remember correctly, was like, we don't think he's been basically offered anything yet, but who knows? He might just jump at an offer type. Wasn't that a comment? Do you remember something like that? Like a Michigan source wrote that, if someone in the NFL does offer, he might just jump at it. Because the thing is, one thing Tafer wrote, and here's where I will disagree with him, is that like Mark has yet to interview Jim Harbaugh. There is no interview with the Raiders with Jim Harbaugh. There is a job offer, just like John Gruden. Do you want the job? What do you need? What are your requirements to take the job? To me, there is, and part of this might just be Mark got in a lot of shit last time when he hired John Gruden, which I thought was so fucking stupid. There should be a level of candidate. You don't need to follow the Rooney rule. Like John Gruden, you don't need to fake interview T. Martin. Now, clearly, maybe Gerard Mayo could be the Raiders' next head coach. I'd be shocked. But that does, check off the box of the Rooney rule, and then Mark is free. Like, Mark can't legally just hire Jim Harbaugh without getting in more trouble, so he has to go through this. But there is no interview. Do you agree there? There is no interview with Jim Harbaugh. There isn't a job offer.
It's just a contract negotiation.
So if they don't get Jim Harbaugh, you've actually convinced me. I think, if that doesn't work, I think Lewis would make a lot of sense given how passionate he is about the Raiders. He would clearly be really aggressive. And you would say, well, some teams, would you go back to the well of like, a TV guy? I would say it's a little different, and I don't think Mark falls under the, he can go to any well, he doesn't care. There's no, well he'd be afraid of.
I think the part that to me would be interesting, I don't know if it'll ever be reported because I don't really know what the answer here is, but Vic wrote, here's the candidates, 4 general candidates for GM, Bears assistant Champ Kelly of player personnel Thursday, Patriots de facto GM Dave Ziegler Friday. They've also requested Ed Dobbs, the assistant GM of the Colts, and Bengals scout Trey Brown.
Guy who replaced Middlekauff.
He's a scout, John. I mean, he's not. He was the director of player personnel for an XFL team, and a VP of football ops for an AAF team. He really replaced you?
I swear to God.
So, but he's not. You're right. He was the Eagles area scout.
He was in the Microsoft Surface commercial.
Oh, that's the guy for the Microsoft Surface commercial? Who we talked about the other day?
So the guy that replaced me was also on television.
Gotcha.
And it was a big reason that Joe Douglas fired him is because they thought he was a huge self-promoter. And one thing, I've always heard about him is some of these guys.
Okay, I was wondering how this list got put together. But
yeah, in my friends, that I know in the NFL, they get very offended by guys that they just think I'm just a GM. It's like, will you be something else? Now he had been out of the league for a while, so he took this job with the Bengals. He had been out of the league for years, but they will not take a normal job. I respect Bill O'Brien or any guy that will go from being a head coach that long to I'll just be an offensive coordinator. Some scouts view they're above certain things. It's and if you have a good enough agent that can get you in front of these guys. A lot of this stuff with general managers is very agent driven. Champ Kelly, wait, you were an assistant for the Bears? You mean the team that was just fucking a laughingstock the last couple of years, personnel wise? You were one of Ryan Pace's right hand guys? Now I've heard, I don't know him. I've heard guys that like him, but if he was the equivalent of a coach, right? John DeFilippo's not getting an interview from the Bears, right? Look at the Bears coaching staff, but their scouts. Well, I'll tell you why, because they get agents. Now, some of this, same thing with coaches. There are Rooney Rule requirements you have to interview. But again, this is where I think Mark, and I do support him on this, gets offended. Listen, I think our track record speaks for itself.
Yeah, I mean, your franchise's track record speaks for itself. Your track record is pretty limited.
Well, I mean, who was his first? I mean, he hired fucking Reggie McKenzie.
Right. Okay. Congrats. There's rules we got to follow here. Just follow the rules, Mark. You know what I mean? I agree with you, but also you don't get to just live off. I hired Reggie.
No.
McKenzie
My point is, again, GMs are different coaches. I'm really, to me, a GM, unless the coach is bringing the guy, you should be interviewing 50 guys. I do think the coach thing it really kind of, I find just so stupid. If Sean Payton got fired tomorrow and I just want to hire Sean Payton, but I have not interviewed anyone else, I have to interview some random coach to get a rule for him, but I have to. That's the rule. I find that
Mark Davis should embrace it because he doesn't know any of these guys. So he should be interviewing a bunch of people. Honestly, it's a great way for him to network a little bit.
Well, yeah, for the GMs, whatever.
I'm talking about the coaches too. Like his circle, we've talked about this, is not very big. It's a good way for him to expand his circle a little bit, little speed date.
But what if you find out that Jim Harbaugh?
Eventually, he's going to run out of Jim Harbaughs.
Well, no, Jim Harbaugh's kind of his last fucking bullet in the gun, right? If Jim Harbaugh stays at Michigan, I think we all acknowledge Mark's in a little trouble. I mean, the question mark with the whole thing of like, who's he going to hire? Hell, even Reggie McKenzie was gifted to him from Ron Wolf and John Madden. Well, those guys, one's 6 feet under, God rest his soul, and the other guy's 85 years old. So he's relying on Marcel Reese, who, again, nice guy, which seems a little nuts.
Was it Marcel Reese that was on our show the last day of radio, or was it Latavius? It was Latavius Murray.
Latavius. I like Latavius.
Special place in my heart, John. Marcel, too. Marcel used to come on the radio show and was really good.
Marcel's cool, yeah. You just, Brent Selleck's cool, too. He doesn't just, Jeffrey Lurie doesn't ask him every single thing to do with the Philadelphia Eagles, right?
I mean, maybe it crossed my mind that is Marcel Reese going to just be the GM of the Raiders one day?
Well, what if he doesn't want that? What if he's like, I got a sweeter job? Why do you want that pressure?
Never get fired.
You just get to float. You don't have to go into the office every day. I'd say argue Marcel Reese. If I told you he's making $1 million, would you say he's got the best job in the NFL?
I'd say that number might be low. If I told you Marcel Reese has an earpiece in, he listens to all the coaches' calls. If it's not Harbaugh, what's his name? Caserio.
Isn't Caserio taken?
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that story that Caserio was listening into the Arizona headsets.
Oh yeah, well, no, he's
on the headset telling the coach. He's got a microphone too.
In fairness, here's where I will defend Caserio. He was on the headset with Bill Belichick for a decade when they were winning Super Bowls. Like I'd say he's been on headsets at a higher level than a lot of coaches in the NFL. I actually think Brian Daboll is probably the best assistant coach with no head coaching experience available. When you just look at his track record, you look at what he's done. I think he's kind of come into his own in Buffalo, what he's done with Josh Allen specifically. He worked for Saban, worked for Bill, worked for Sean now for a while. So he got out of that crew. And you just watch Josh, like win or lose this weekend. He has been one of the best true coordinators, right? Who's just not the head coach calling the plays, like a true coordinator, I would say in the league the last three, like him and Todd Bowles. I'd say Todd's right up there too as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
You could argue Todd is a fantastic candidate. He's been a head coach before. His general manager, McCagnon and the Jets, was a laughingstock. They were just a joke personnel-wise. You just watch Todd operate like with Bruce. And I worked with him for a year in Philly. Like Todd's a pretty impressive guy. To me,
Who did he take over?
Who
did he take over for? Who's the Jets coach before Todd Bowles?
Was it Rex?
2015 was Todd Bowles' first year. Could that have been Rex in 14? Feels like it would have been somebody in between, but maybe it was Rex.
Rex was the coach from 09 to 14.
He went 10-6, but somebody else's team. 5-11, 5-11, 4-12.
So he was He was a head coach for 4 years.
For 4 years, yeah.
They were pretty bad.
Went 10-6, didn't make the playoffs.
Remember, it was like Ryan Fitzpatrick year. I think Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker. They had some pretty good players. Revis probably gone by then. Todd Bowles is good. I mean, just watch the Bucks. Feels like a lot of these guys are just a lot of names.
There's a ton.
I'm kind of fascinated. Like, do you have a good feel for any of these people who are going to get hired? I don't think anyone really knows.
I mean, Mike McDaniel's out there getting interviewed all of a sudden a lot. Doesn't feel like this is his year, but it does feel like, it doesn't take much. D'Amico's getting – Mike McDaniel is interviewing tomorrow?
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. The guy's interviewed the week before a short week playoff game. But D'Amico, I mean, the other thing is there's so many guys, like there's head coaches that are – with Zimmer and Vic, really good defensive coordinators that are available that aren't going to be head coaches, right? That'll be somebody's defensive coordinators probably.
Joe Judge, special teams coach, do you think be in demand?
Joe Judge, special teams. I mean,
Cully, wide receiver coach.
Are we sure Cardinals or Cowboys, neither one of those jobs open?
I think they're both. People are keeping an eye on them right now. Cardinals have been awfully quiet for the last 48 hours, haven't they?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Awfully quiet. That's a hard one to shake. Will it age a little better if the Rams beat the Bucks? Do you think you just wait? Let's just see the Rams.
I don't know, man. You got your ass kicked. And again, it's not just that you lost a playoff game. It's that your team looked totally overwhelmed as you've stumbled to the finish again.
I heard Dave Wanstead said he was embarrassed for the Cardinals. He said he was offended that how just you watched them the last month, how they just acted like they were something. It's like, we're just good. We're in the playoffs. And he went back to like Jimmy Johnson. He's like, even with good teams, sometimes you just need to create a crisis to keep everyone on your toes. And I was thinking a lot about this, like, certain teams, like I think in New England, you didn't, with the Brady group, you didn't need to create a crisis. They're pretty locked in. In Tampa right now, I think they're pretty locked in. The Niners, I do think they needed a little wake-up call this year, and they got it. But the Cardinals, I could see it being a little country clubbish, like when they were like 10-2, and it's like, well, we're just fucking cruise control. That to me is where like Saban, Bill, everyone just on their toes, especially when you've never done anything. Like, to me, Andy Reid doesn't need to create a crisis this week, or McDermott. Both their teams been in the playoffs several times. Obviously, the Chiefs have won. Like, they're just locked in. Like, they're just locked in. But if the Bengals, to me, the Bengals would be a type team, like, next year in the offseason. Like, we probably just need to make sure everyone, like, understands. Like, we haven't done shit. And I just wonder if Kingsbury's made for the create a crisis. Like, Is everyone fucking really locked in here, or are we just kind of feeling ourselves? Because you haven't won anything.
Well, he's not really experienced in that role, and it is kind of a unique spot when you have a coach and a quarterback come in together. And I go back to the quarterback is not a leader. Kyler Murray's not a leader. And Cliff, I think, I don't know, theory would be he coaches like he's got kind of a player-led team. But his quarterback's not a leader. So who's in charge? JJ?
JJ?
No. Hurt JJ? No. Hurt Nook? No. AJ Green? No.
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
I mean,
you think if I said you got to take $1,000 right now, you had two options. Kyler never plays professional baseball, or at some point in time in his life, Kyler gives professional baseball a try. Where would you put that?
I'd put it on tries professional baseball.
It might be, and I don't know if it's going to happen like the next couple years, but I could see 29-year-old Kyler Murray like, I'm not going to compete for the job with the Jets. Like, I'm going to go fucking, you'll put me right in Double-A, I'll just play some baseball.
I mean, he's got to go. If Tebow could hit 220, I mean, I got to be able to hit 270. Just run around a little bit.
Yeah, play.
But I wonder what kind of, by that time, what's his body like? You make a lot of money, get one more contract, and then go play baseball. People leave you alone. Just wear your sunglasses. Sit in the dugout where no one can see you.
For a max football contract? I don't know.
What does max mean to you? Like 40,
yeah,
like
I just
35, whatever it is, whatever the going rate is.
I just mean 100+ million guarantees.
I think we're probably. I mean,
next year's a pretty big year for the guy.
He's better than Baker, right?
I had a guy in the NFL tell me he thought he was between 7 and 10, but because if you just look at his body of work over a couple years and watch him on tape, like he's really talented. But it's like you would rather have, like, if he's right kind of close to Lamar, like every single person would take Lamar or Justin Herbert or whatever. But like his crew of guys and his stats, he has been really productive.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to build my team around him.
No, but sometimes like
here's one: would you rather have him or Dak? I think he's better than Dak. Like
he's more skilled than Dak. Yes, I'd rather have Dak Prescott.
I would too. I think Kyler's just more likely to be able to carry your team. But
would the Cowboys have been better off in that game with Kyler? Not the version we saw Monday night.
Yeah. Yes, but you don't. But it's it's so much bigger than that. But they would be. You could argue he's got this potential ceiling, and so that's what you spend your time on. Who isn't better than Baker?
I'm trying to become a big vest guy.
Yeah, is that your foray into vesting?
Yeah, I see people wear it. It's like I'm just gonna maybe start mixing it in.
It looks comfortable. It looks good. It's a good look. I mean, it looks good. Especially
it doesn't do much. Like
I've never quite understood. Because this is the part of me that gets cold here.
Yeah, I don't
like
get
the
it
sleeve, like the short sleeve hoodie. I understand. Like, get me a little coverage just past my elbow, and I'm warm enough, and I can keep it off my wrist.
What do you think about the guys that wear hoodies and then the sports coat over?
Awful look.
Do guys get extra big sports coats for that? Is it you have to do that?
I don't know. It makes no sense. None. Unless you're outside in the cold.
It's a fashion statement though, guys.
But like indoors, like I don't understand. All these guys on ESPN, statement. Somebody tell them I can see your running shoes. Stop. It doesn't. No, it's not working. Don't do that.
That's the look, man.
Everyone got so comfortable just in athleisure homeware, which is fine. I got no problem with it.
I would say it started coming through before the COVID stuff, though.
Yeah, it absolutely did.
The shoes.
It absolutely did.
But nothing looks worse than like Jordans in your suits. Like, bro, you look fucking terrible.
Well, but also like you got to trim if you're going to do that, you got to slim your pant up. You just can't put on any suit. And like everyone just wants to pretend like they're dressed up, but be the most comfortable they could possibly. Well, it's like either you're dressed up or you're not. Just pick one. It's fine. I don't care, but just pick one.
What kind of pants you got on at home right now?
I've got the jeans on.
Oh, you put jeans on at home?
Yeah. I mean, they're stretchy jeans.
Mugsies?
No, what are Mugsies?
Oh, they're just like kind of stretchy jeans. They're pretty nice.
Everybody's got stretchy jeans now. Is that what you wear, Mugsies?
Yeah, but I'm just wearing like
like
a Travis Matthew kind of workout pant.
I need a pair of those. It's harder to find those for shorter guys, because there's a defined bottom,
One thing I've had to do is I got to go size down, but that's key. I got to be careful about what I eat,
A clean pair of Jordan 1s with the right suit is nice. But this is what I'm saying. Nobody does it. Like, I shouldn't say nobody. 9 out of 10 people don't do it right. You can't just wear your baggy suit pants with your Jordans. It doesn't work. Yeah, and your Lululemons with your Nike running shoes. That boy got stretchy pants. I'm not that. I wouldn't say I'm flexible, so getting it up like that was pretty difficult.
I got a bad knee too.
Yeah, you get that MCL. All right, so I got a few things for tomorrow that we'll get to. I know you do too. Niners, Packers, playoff previews.
Well, we got $1,000 now on the games this weekend, so let's do it. We went from betting like $200 a couple years ago to betting $1,000 on a divisional weekend. I like where we've come.
What games? I love the Bengals-Titans game. I think it's a great playoff game. To me, the Bengals. I can't get enough Bengals right now.
You want a stat?
I want a stat. Yeah.
Here's a stat. The Cincinnati Bengals have never won a road playoff game. Not in the last decade or 2 decades or 3 decades. In the history of the franchise, the Cincinnati Bengals have never won a road playoff game. And one thing I noticed in the Joe documentary, they've been to the Super Bowl a couple times. So it's like they either are getting home playoff games or they are going home.
Wow. How many playoff games have the Tennessee Titans won?
Well, I think the Bengals are like their record's like 0-7. So people are like, well, get ready for 0-8. I'd imagine the Titans have definitely won some playoff games over the years, right? They've had good teams.
Yeah, they've won some.
Well, they won 2 road playoff games 2 years ago when they went to the NFC Championship. Remember? Beat Belichick and they beat Lamar. I feel like a home Titans playoff game, it's been a while. What does that look like? Like that, I feel like Steve McNair or Eddie George, right? I mean, this is
muddy.
A little kind of rare territory here. The Titans get a home playoff game?
I mean, see, here's the thing. I would love to see I will probably be rooting for the Bengals when I watch the game. But then the second that game ends and it's Bengals Chiefs, I'd go, ooh, I think the AFC Championship would be better if it's Titans, either one, Bills or Chiefs.
Well, don't you think the Bills or Chiefs are going to be favored in that game against Titans?
Yeah, but wouldn't they be favored against the Bengals?
Well, for sure. But I'm just saying, like, they're going to have Tennessee's going to host the game. They're probably going to be a home underdog.
Yeah.
What would you guess? Let's say the Chiefs win this game by 10 and look just good, and they've like got their mojo. What's the line? Chiefs Tennessee -5 Chiefs or something?
Yeah, I mean, 4. Be a little high. 4.
Titans did beat them. I don't think anyone gives a shit, though, do they?
Nobody cares. No, it does not matter.
I think the Titans beat the Bills. I saw a stat like the Titans have beat like most teams in the playoffs. Like everyone's like, why do they get no respect? It's like, well, I don't know, they just don't. Right? I mean, part of it's Tannehill's our quarterback.
It's the biggest part of it, I think. You know what's funny about other matchups is like, let's say you get you have the option between Niners Bucks and Niners Rams. The thing about Niners Rams is a lot of discussion if that game happens will be, can you really beat a team 7 times in a row? But think about being on a team that's won 6 in a row against somebody else. Like your level of confidence is extremely high. And I would say their lack of confidence is probably also part of equates to it. From the outside, we're like, how can you win 7 in a row? But like, how do you win 3? How do you win 4? How do you win 5? How do you win 6? Why would it stop?
Well, I think the problem for the NFL is the AFC is going to get one sweet team, right? The Bills or the Chiefs. The Titans are just it sucks, and they've deserved it. Even if they win this game by 20 points, they're not going to feel like a big boy, even though they have earned being one. The NFC really can't lose. There is no possible matchup of the 4 teams playing each other that sucks, right?
Wouldn't you
Jimmy
say
G versus Brady, Packers, Bucks.
Are the Rams the
Niners.
least interesting of the group, and the Rams are really interesting, or would you put them ahead of the Bucks?
I would say the Rams. If the Rams make it, I think you want them to play the Niners. I think that's the best matchup for the Rams to kind of feel huge. Kyle versus Sean. I think Rams-Packers is not quite as sweet, but I do think that Niners-Bucks, because Jimmy G, Tom, and obviously Tampa-Green Bay 2.0.
I think the thing with Tampa-Green Bay is that it would be in Green Bay, and that would feel that would feel even bigger than being in Tampa.
We got that last year too, so it's like the rematch. Can Rodgers beat fucking Brady?
Yeah.
If you had to rank how the NFL would sign up, would that be the number 1 matchup? Brady Rodgers?
Well, the number 1 matchup, actually both of the NFL's number 1 matchups are this weekend, I think.
Bills, Chiefs,
and Niners, Packers. Those are like their ideal conference championship game. Those are conference championship game matchups.
I like Jason Light and some of his guys, and Spire, I worked with in Philly, is one of his scouts now. Tom was cooler on New England.
The Bucs uniforms are you just can't take them seriously.
Tom was he felt bigger deal than the Patriots. He just did. And he's been awesome. Like, I watched him last week. I think he's as good as he's ever been, but it's just something that just feels off.
What would Tom on the Niners feel like?
You could argue he was meant to be a Patriot. Like, that's where he thrived. Like, he looked the most natural in the Patriots. I do think once you get a color on you, because you'd be like, what does Michael Jordan look like on the Lakers? It would have looked weird. Like, it just looks weird, Tom, in these other unis. But
Tom
I think mentally made for the Patriots.
I agree, but mentally what would help Tom on the Niners is just knowing the whole story of Tom's career. And how
Rodgers is a good example.
His hometown team.
Rewatching the 13 game, and his mannerisms are so similar. Like, Rodgers was made to wear that jersey. It's perfect. Like, if I don't want to see Rodgers on the Broncos, I don't want to see Rodgers.
Well, not the Broncos. They're one step above the Bucs in terms of uniforms.
But it feels like that's where he would end up.
Well, I know. How about the Bears?
He wouldn't go there.
No, I know. I'm just trying to pick a uniform that would not look crazy on him. I mean, Favre never looked right in a Vikings uniform.
No, because I do think you get entrenched if you're part of a historic jersey, like Ben with Pittsburgh. Ben would have looked weird in like a Texans uniform, even though he was probably closer than we all realized to be playing his last year on another team this season. Clearly, he's like, guys, I'll give you guys back $15 million. I want to stay.
Well, somebody made the point, like, you see his press conference, no tears, just like, all right, it's been fun. Like, see ya. And Ben's out after the playoff game.
He has, when he's kind of bored, in May written like, Ben is just still throwing. He hasn't put in the papers yet. He's enjoying being a dad, but he's not totally done, written all over him.
It'll be Ben was just on KXEX radio in Pittsburgh with the guys, and he didn't rule out returning. Mason Crosby, when asked about it, just chuckled and said no comment. Not Mason Crosby, was it Mason Rudolph? Yeah,
I could see Roethlisberger will get a headline somewhere between May and mid-July. I would bet $5,000 there is a Roethlisberger. Like, Roethlisberger spotted running some gassers at his local high school in Pittsburgh down the street from his house. Could he come back? A reporter swings by and Ben just winked and smiled, said, "You never know," and kept on running. Because he will not like just being irrelevant. No one's going to talk about him. Like, Rivers loves it, right? I even think Peyton missed it a little bit, clearly. Like, he kind of enjoys being in the mix. I don't think, like, his ego needs to be stroked, but he just misses the...
He left earlier than he wanted to. Yeah.
Yeah, he was forced out. Roethlisberger a little was forced out, but kind of like he also experienced it. Like, I just suck. Roethlisberger had a couple-year stretch of being kind of average, where Peyton had happened like, woof. You're like, holy, what the hell's going on?
Yeah. Ben had like the one all in, I'm going to lose some weight, and then it was just not, when gained it back, it just wasn't worth it.
Remember, it was like he ate better over the offseason, and then he shows up to training camp, and people are like, he looks fat. What's he talking about? Remember, he had like the rolling t-shirt? You're like, you fucking big.
Did he shave, or did he not? Or did he not shave? What was the deal?
There was a story that came out in like late June that was like, Roethlisberger this offseason changed his diet, cut the alcohol, proteins, and then he shows up to camp. He looked 275 pounds. It might have been my favorite moment of the training camp stretch. Showed up fat after he said he got skinny. Listen, it's actually what makes him pretty relatable to most people. If you had to guess what Roethlisberger weighs, what would you say?
If you hadn't just said 275, I'd probably say. I mean, he's big. He's huge. 280. Yeah, 280.
Yeah.
He's massive. These guys.
Would you agree? He's got more likely to be like 330 than 230.
God, I mean, sneaky. Probably he's already so big, right? Like, is he just already eating and working out as much as he will in retirement anyway? Is this just it?
Well, he didn't work out that much. It feels like when he was playing.
That's what I mean. So is he just already? Is this just already? Because guys balloon after their careers because they're not working out 3 times a day or whatever. But is he just already in retirement bod? He's been playing retirement bod this whole time.
Well, yeah, and one thing
when you're that big, the same.
And when you're that big, you can wear it. I was listening to Willie Colon with Rosillo a couple weeks ago, and Willie was like, "I got to admit something." About 6 months ago, because I think Ryan's like, "What are you weighing now?" He's like, "Well, I had a moment about 6 months ago where I wasn't really paying that much attention. And one morning before I took the kids to school, I get up, I go to the scale, and I hadn't been on it in a while, and I get on, and I look down, it says 430 pounds, and he's like, I didn't believe it, so I take the batteries out, I put them back in, I reset the thing.
Oh my god,
and it was 430 pounds. And he's like, I just kind of let it go. But I do think when, some of these offensive linemen, if you're 6'4", the difference between 350 and 430 is probably not as dramatic as you like Roethlisberger could probably get to 310 and not look that much different, right? In a couple years.
Oh my God.
Roethlisberger may end up at 400 pounds one day. I wouldn't put it past him. If he's 260 in his prime, I would say 300 would be his playing weight pretty quickly in retirement. Unless he just becomes a Peloton guy, which doesn't really feel like his style.
We've got a NFL Network Game prediction, John, on the Niners Packers. 58% win probability. Do with that what you will. As Mike McCarthy would say, that's what our analytics guys told us to do.
You a big win probability guy?
I'm not. No. In a game, I'm interested. Like when I see one of those, like the Niners Rams, 0.04%. Because just like how often does a team come back in that spot?
Yeah.
But pregame doesn't mean a lot to me. No.
Yeah. What if I tell you Aaron Rodgers is the worst game of his career? What if I tell you Jimmy Garoppolo throws 4 picks? The score's 40-10. You know,
4 picks. Who left him in after the third?
Do you think there's any chance he would get yanked?
Yeah. But I mean, what was the game?
They didn't yank him 17-3.
No.
And
but
that
he had
was
thrown
ugly.
4 picks. The Tennessee game?
It had felt close to 4 picks, though. Balls were bouncing and going different places.
Yeah. That's true.
Staley's a big Peloton guy.
We got to figure out what we're going to do, what our weekend schedule is going to be. But that'll be we'll announce it coming up on Thursday.
We just go Saturday night.
You could argue pod. You'd say pod, or you could argue just a stream Saturday night and then a pod Sunday.
I think you just react and go and put the thing out.
The problem is if you win, if the Niners win, you don't know their opponent yet. Or would you just do a Monday pod, do a Saturday night pod and then a Monday podcast?
Yeah, I think you just react to the game live, and then you just figure it out from there.
We'll take this offline, circle back. We'll ping you guys later on that.
Because there's nothing like the juices after the game. You know?
Nothing.
You can't replicate it the following day.
No.
I won't have it. You know,
can't be done. But is anyone listening on Sunday morning?
Well, no, but it's just, but the reaction is real. So even if it,
the reaction's real, but then what happened Sunday could affect. Now, if you, it just depends. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah, to me, if we're going,
if they
live,
win a game, if the Niners win the game, if the Niners win a game, though, you then need to update because they have an opponent for the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, we'll be live.
Either way, the games are updated after Sunday, right? You only know half the story on Saturday.
But the story would be the Niners winning the game.
Right, until Monday morning when I wake up and I want to know about who they're playing. You know what I mean? Just the whole depends. Something sweet might happen Sunday.
True.
Bosa attended practice today but didn't participate. Something tells me old Nickel passed the protocol.
I agree.
His dad will be there cheering him on. Did you see his dad in the hallway after the game?
It's fucking huge. See that guy? See those bear hugs he's giving to people?
Massive.
I mean, he's glad one of his kids on a winning team. You know, he gets to do sweet shit. You see Kelsey's mom did a double dip?
No, I just saw her that she was on NFL Network, though.
Yeah, she went Eagles game. She went Eagles game, and then she flew to Kansas City. And then she asked Travis a question after the game, like got in the media session. Like, what was it like to throw a touchdown?
Surprising.
Pretty cool. Yeah, he didn't know she was coming on. It was pretty cool. She said the Chiefs brightened up her day after the rough morning. I think maybe she didn't attend the Chiefs game. I do think there are some rumblings that Travis's brother might retire, so maybe it was like, Mom, you need to be here for this game type deal.
Gotcha. Interesting. How much older is he?
Just a couple years. Travis was like a 7th-year senior at Cincinnati because he got kicked off the team and came back. He's I think some issues. He's battled back well, obviously. Jason was a little crazy too. You know, if we lived in the 1700s, they would have been gladiators.
Would Brandon Staley let Nick Bosa play?
Well, he would go on some huge, like, on my watch, CTE, I've watched Will Smith's movie, Dr. Whatever. He's a friend of mine. I've read his research. He would drop one of those, like, whatever Will Smith's character's real name was. Like, I've read his research papers. I have talked to our owner about it.
What was the line? Don't hide the truth. Whatever the line from the trailer was.
The truth.
I read that Bosa's biggest concern is his neck. Predictable that gamesmanship is happening. He was good in that last game, wasn't he? The Packer
Feldman.
game.
Sources inside Michigan think Harbaugh would take Raiders' job if offered.
Just remember, folks, when it happens, who ain't going to be surprised? Ham.
She's growing. Or Jim's really fucking with him. One of the two. It's either happening or he's really fucking with Michigan.
The time is now to do both. Yeah. Why wouldn't you? I mean, why wouldn't you? Here's the other thing. Jim might go, well, what's Michigan offer me? What are the Raiders offering me? What if we never think about that possibility? What if Jim's like, yeah, I would take that job and I would stay here? Like, can I get a 10-year, $110 million contract out of Michigan? Can I get a 10-year, $110 million contract out of the Raiders? What if one of them's offering you 6 and 62 and the other one's offering you 8 and 100? What do you do?
Maybe Mark has to figure out his finances. How much does he owe Gruden anything, or is he off the hook? If he's off the hook, then I'll just offer you his contract. 100%. We'll just roll it over the 10 for 100.
Just fill in. I'm just going to white out Gruden's name here, and you can just put your name in.
Yeah, we'll just write.
This was going to be the year it kicked up to 11 million.
Yeah, we'll just go 21 to 31. We'll just extend it
because John was making like 8 year one, right? So this is probably like an $11 million year.
Yeah. No state income tax.
Coach both teams. All right. Good stream. Good hang. We'll be back with the pod tomorrow afternoonish. Anything else?
Probably all I got.
All right. Oh, one other thing. Dave says new 30 for 30 Tuck Rule coming out. Got to tell you, I get great pleasure out of Tuck Rule anniversary on Twitter every year. I do enjoy it. I can't lie. I get a kick out of it. And I'm looking forward to this documentary.
I saw someone was like, another Brady documentary, just what we need. I mean, Jesus. There are a lot of Brady stuff going on.
All right. On that note, everybody, thanks for hanging.
As long as if Bill is interviewed for the 30 for 30, I'll watch.
Do you think he's interviewed?
Do you feel confident that he'll be involved in it?
I feel like he's not been in the previews, but that I've seen at least.
I would say the two main characters are going to be Tom and Charles Woodson. Would feel like it. Like, is John Gruden in it?
I mean, you would think they at one point interviewed him. Did they edit him out? I don't think you can do that.
I heard someone say they were watching the Brady Man in the Arena or whatever, and when they were at the point in time of his career in like 10, 11, 12, maybe it would have been the second Super Bowl where they lost to the Giants. Aaron Hernandez scored in there, and there were some Aaron Hernandez sweet plays, and you could tell that they had fucked with the audio, so like never, like Al Michaels never says like touchdown Aaron Hernandez, you know, but it's like
I'm not a big fan of like erasing history. I mean, the guy, you know,
it's like Tom, you didn't know. No one's blaming you guys for like Tom. I shouldn't have thrown him the ball. You know?
It's part of the story of all of this stuff. It's like it happened. These things are real. You just let it be.
Well, but I guess they went over the top and cut it out.
That's too much to me. Like how everyone
Patriots.
Well, anytime anyone's like, he reminds me. I'm trying to think of a player. He's, and then someone's like, well, I'd say Aaron Hernandez, but I don't want to. Like he played, like that's a person that played football.
Pro Bowl, good player. Unique. There's actually not many like him. He's like a slot receiver, but a tight end. He's kind of ahead of his time. Would have really thrived in today's day and age.
Very unique, yeah.
On and off the field. Well, I mean, you don't have many murderers playing in the league, you'd think, right?
You said he would have thrived off the field. You mean like?
No, I said he would have thrived on the field. I said he was unique on and off the field.
Oh, I thought you said he would have thrived these days on and off the field.
No. I remember the one thing when the story broke, and people were like following him. He takes off and goes to the Patriots facility, and they're like, bro, you cannot be here. And it's all he knew. Like, I'm just gonna go get a workout. And Belichick's like, bro, you gotta go. That was crazy.
That was crazy.
He went right to their facility, and the helicopters are following him.
Remember, he didn't like stop for gas.
Bill's in there like this, like watching tape of the draft prospects, and he's like, Coach, Aaron Hernandez is here.
Gets under the desk.
I'm not here.
All right.
Crazy times.
Good hanging, everybody. Later.